Thank you very much, Dr. Sunil and Mohan Kumar. Uh, I just introduced myself. I'm Dharmendra Jani, and I'm Calcutta alumni and PMP certified project manager from PMI USA. And currently, I'm a center head at Financial Planning Academy, Ahmedabad. And thank you very much, Williams College, to give me this opportunity to interact with all the faculties and students. Good morning, all. So today we are going to discuss on understanding cloud computing. So today generally we are going to cover now all the even colleges or businesses or our day-to-day life. We are so much dependent on IT equipments like computing or mobile phones. So day-to-day we are in touch with any of the technologies, and since the uses of the technology is expanding day by day, we have to think how to maximize the uses with savings of the cost. So the next thing we discuss about cloud computing benefits. What exactly is a cloud computing? And cloud computing service offer. There are so many vendors who are giving you the service on the rental. So now in today's world, the computing is our essential part of the life. You cannot think any offices or any institutions or even in a household without any laptop or computers. We need to do the online banking, or in the offices, daily people are working on emails, making a spreadsheet. All the accounting has been done now on Excel sheet, typing a letter. And now there is a social media users like LinkedIn, Facebook, and WhatsApp. So we are using so much computing power in a day-to-day life, and it's become a part of our business. So without computers, without any softwares or operating system, we cannot imagine to work in today's world. So let us take a typical office or any business or even our colleges or institution. We have a computer system, and we have a company's network, and people are working, different people are purchase department working. They are using some Excel sheet or some format to generate the purchase orders. We are doing business correspondence for typing a letter, sending uh, presentation to the customer, and management is analyzing what is happening in the company with the data analytics. And then if you take the healthcare in a hospital, they have to maintain all the records of all the patients, because nowadays there is a Mediclaim and other things. We have to reproduce all the data and submit to the insurance agency. And the same way, there is a insurance agency, government department. There is a lot of data is generated. Now things are moving toward digitization. So the old days of keeping a hard copy or hard copy of the document is nowadays it's slowly it is fading out. Now, even though it is not fully digitized, even the hard copy it is getting scanned and it is stored in some computers as a record for years to come. And even the day to day, we are generating so much data. We are typing so many emails, we are teaching so many things, and the footprint copy is remaining into so many other computers. So again, the data somewhere it is getting stored. If you take an example of a simple mobile, earlier we used to have a 2 GB memory, then it is becomes a 16 GB memory, 64 GB memory. So the computing need is keep on increasing, because nowadays you are taking so many pictures on the mobile, and you will find your mobile is getting memory is full. Then again you have to go for the purchase of a new version of the mobile, and there is a iPhone or Android. So now Android 7 is there. Earlier, it started from Android 3, then every 2 years, 1 year, there is an upgrade in the operating system also. So if you are using a laptop, there was a Windows 95, and then it has reached up to Windows 10. Latest is the Windows 11. So every again year by year, you have to upgrade your operating system. Then again, there is a constraint for how much data you can store in your computer. Nowadays, there is a lot of graphics and everything has been used, even in offices or even engineering or in commerce. There are a lot of graphics, there is a lot of pictures. So it requires more computing power, latest software. So you have to keep on upgrading the software. You have to keep on upgrading your hardware to remain operational. If you don't upgrade it, your laptop will not be functional. You cannot use iPhone 3 in today's world because that software and hardware will not work. So it's a typical office. There are so many people are working there, so many departments. Or even take a particular example of any particular colleges. There is an admission department. There is a department to collect the fees, accounting department. There is a department to pay the salaries, pay to contractors. There is a canteen. There is a security, and there is a practical. And again, you are buying the equipment, and there is the internal examination and examination paper. Everything. There are so many computing power you are using. You are doing Excel sheets, email, purchase orders, and there are nowadays there is online admission is going on. So students are asked to upload their all the certificates and mark sheet, photograph. So all this data is getting generated. So the data is a huge data, and your current capacity of your current computer is beyond. There is a certain limit. After that, you cannot store that data because the memory will get full. And again, you need a different software now. Every week or every day you will find new mobile application is coming up, new software is coming up in the market. Now earlier there was no PDF, so you just type in a letter, and now you have to, suppose you want to send a mail, you have to convert into PDF. So now you have to keep on buying or installing new application to remain updated and to remain operational. So where all this data goes, because your laptop or your office computer has got some limitations to store the data. So there is a you're using internet, and you're even you are just surfing the internet, but the data is getting unloaded into your laptop or into system. Suppose you imagine your college has got some 100 people using computers or connected with the network, even with the internal network. They are generating so much data. And once the data is generated, all the computer, there is a processor, and that processor is to process all this data. And now we have seen the hacking is going on. So you have to prevent your network from getting hacked. So every day there is a new virus, and you have to keep the updates. You have to buy that antivirus software to ensure that your system is secure. So security is required. Internet every day, lot of data is generated, lot of emails are going. Then every day there is a lot of important data is also generated. So it has to get stored in some place. So if you are an individual user, okay, you can go after 2 years, you can go for buying a new mobile, or you can buy a new laptop. But suppose you are an institution, or you are a large organization, and you've got thousands of people are working there, and all the people are working in a different system. Some, not all the people are using the same software. They are not using the same kind of application. Because account department, they are using some different application. Purchase department, they have got some different ERP system, and your management is using some different system. In a colleges, there is a commerce, there is a science, there is engineering. So everybody is using user approach or the user using that application is different. So you need the college or organization need a lot of computing power. And as we discussed, every day there is updation. Every day there is a new system is coming up. Earlier there was a Pentium 1. Even you take the processing power of the computer, there was a Pentium 1, Pentium 2, Intel. We are seeing the Intel inside. So Intel is the processor which is doing all the processing work, whatever you are working. So the processor now there is we need very faster operation. There is a lot of software, and now there is a lot of dependence on the computer. So we need a faster processor also. We require larger storage space also, and we need security also from the viruses. And plus, there is a lot of changing data. It's not like you created one software for admission of your colleges. So that is a one-time job. Okay, you have created one software, but now there are so many other things which cannot be created one time. For example, now there is a lot of application in a mobile. So you need some different software. So every day the programmer can generate new application. If we discuss about your colleges, so in a college, suppose in a future time you decided to create application for the first year of the commerce student, first year of the science student. So there will be application, only that commerce student will see that application. So it is a customized for your particular group of the people. So for that, again, you need a special computing power. You have to do some programming on that. So you need data and codes and everything. So you require a specialized computer and specialized IT department for that. So basically, we have a limitation of how much we can invest on this IT system every month or every year. Every institution has got some budget. Okay, one time you purchase computers, big servers, and operating system, and a security system, and some application. But now again, every year, last year there was the iPhone 7, then iPhone 8, iPhone 10, suddenly iPhone 11 has come up. So the organization cannot afford to buy a new system. Just the individual can, sometimes he can buy, afford to buy. But as an organization, it's very expensive, a huge capital investment to upgrade their IT system. So what is the solution basically? So conventionally, we have seen last 20 years, there is a one business model is coming up. It is called outsourcing. In Bangalore, we have seen many BPOs are coming. So BPO is basically business process outsourcing. So earlier we had some schools, they had their own school buses. So for maintaining the bus, they have their drivers on their payrolls, and there is a canteen, and all the canteen people on their own payrolls. But nowadays, schools are outsourcing their bus services to some contractors, and they're paying them whenever they are using. If there is a vacation time, you need not to pay to that bus company or the driver's salary. If you have got your individual buses, then even there is a vacation time, still you have to maintain the buses and pay the driver's salary and accounting and everything. So the outsourcing is a part of the business nowadays. Most of the things we see, how can we reduce the cost, recurring cost and the fixed cost by outsourcing our business. So similarly, we can do in a computing also, we can use the outsourcing. So now you have got any organization, your business. Now business is virtually connected. It is all the businesses are connected in the internet, and we are doing the data sharing, and we are putting now doing the social media advertising, and we are connecting with our customer with the social media advertising, and we are sending our bills and invoices by email, or we are many times many companies are just uploading their invoices or bills For example, in government, nowadays there is an e-tender system. So you have to upload all the documents. So your business is going towards computing, and you need more and more computing. So to have a large computing, you need a large infrastructure. You need separate building to have this large server, and you have to provide separate safety system, security cameras, and air conditioning system, and you require a separate generator to run all these computers. Because even if for even half a second power goes off, all the data will get wiped out. So you need a dedicated UPS system, generators, so you have to keep your computing running all the time, 24/7. So you need the institution or business has to spend a lot of money. It's maybe in a crore to establish the data centers. And again, every year you have to spend a lot of money in upgrading your softwares, operating systems, and the new antiviruses. So it's a recurring expenses. So IT infrastructure in computing, it itself cost the business almost 20 to 25% of their revenues. So you cannot run the business because computing is a passive component. You are not producing anything. You are just using this to get efficiency in your day-to-day operation. But what is the cost you are paying to get this efficiency? It's a question for the management. How much cost you invest in a computing power? Because if you take an example of a Williams College, there are so many students. You have to keep records of all the students throughout for so many years. For that, you require some individual data center where you can store this certificates and mark sheets. Some students will come after 10 years. I require duplicate mark sheet. So you have to store their data in some computer. So you need a larger computer network or larger data center. And to establish one data center, the college has to spend maybe 2 crores or 3 crores. And again, it is a recurring cost. So what is the solution as we have discussed of BPO, so business process outsourcing. So similarly, the business or institution can try to save or minimize the cost by outsourcing their computing needs. So what exactly is the cloud computing? So we have seen what is computing, because we are using computing power day to day, and as a user, you may not be aware how much the cost involved in that. But as a management who are paying the bills for the electricity, for buying the equipment, maintaining the equipment, upgrading the equipment, it's a huge cost for the management. And management is struggling how to balance this cost and to run their operation and keep it profitable and competitive. So cloud computing is one kind of a BPO solution. You outsource your computing to some other companies that we'll discuss further. So cloud computing is, for example, there is one transportation company and they are having bus services, and they are hiring their buses to different colleges, and they are just changing the board in the morning. In the afternoon they will put different board for the different school, but there's the same company giving services. They are along with the drivers and up-to-date buses and everything, they are supplying to different schools. So same way, there are many companies, they are allowing their computing power to be used by different companies. And that company is allowing you to pay as per the uses. In the similar case, for example, in buses, so how many days you have used the buses, you pay only for this many days. Or in a vacation time, you don't have to pay to the bus services. So there are companies, now there is a lockdown, you are not using much of a computing power. So you can take your computing need, you can take on higher, or you can use in a particular time period only, and you just pay the rentals. And with that computing company, you have yearly contracts on or monthly contracts or user-based contracts. How many users will be using that particular system? Because business organization, everybody is not authorized to use all the operation in the computer. They've got some limited power. For example, principal has got more authority or rights to see so many things, and the lower level clerk will have a limited power. So you can have a service level agreement with the computing service provider. Okay, this many users will have a class 1 rights, this many users will have a class 2 rights, and these are the administrative rights. And benefit of cloud computing, you don't have to worry about the upgradation of the software or buying the antivirus protection or hacking protection, because that company will take care of that. The benefit of the cloud computing is that you can access your data from anywhere in the world, because cloud, you can download the data. For example, you have got the colleges and you have got an internal computing system. Suppose somebody wants to work, then he has to come to college and log in and work on their internet network. But working from home, it will be very difficult, or it may not be possible, because there is a security issue within the college network. But once you go for the cloud computing power, or you take a service from the service provider, you can get access from the cloud, and you can download the data and you can start working virtually from your home or from any other location. And because they are the vendors, they are people upgrading. They can afford to invest in the latest technology and latest software, because they are doing the business and they are hiring to different businesses. So they have got a more leverage and more benefit in investing into latest softwares or latest hardwares or upgrading the hardware, because their revenue comes from hiring their capability. So similarly, the institution or business house cannot invest because they've got a limitation of investing. So the business house get the benefit of having using the latest technology from the service provider. So these are the benefits. The benefits, you can access and share files from anywhere in the world, because you are logging into virtual network. You are not logging into your particular company's or college's network. And this will adapt to your company's growth plan, because after 3 years, your data requirement will be so huge, and your management has to think of future vision. And now in future there will be virtual education, and there is a more load on a computer. There will be virtual classes, so you need a more and faster computer. So this cloud service provider, you can hire that computing power without investing much into your existing computing power. You can save on your hardware and the maintenance cost, because you don't have to purchase that costly IT equipment. So because if you have a IT equipment like a large server, you need a lot of air conditioning, security, and access control, cameras, because some unauthorized person should not go into the data center and hack your data or destroy your computer. So you can save on the security part also, because if you try to maintain the data center within your premises, you need additional securities also. There are government laws and how to maintain the data center. So, and if there is a fire hazard, or your computer data or everything storage will get lost but there will be permanent loss, and it cannot be recovered. So you can save on a hardware maintenance cost, and you give your company access to the advanced technology. And largest benefit the business house or institution can derive, you can reduce your electricity consumption, because IT equipment, it runs 24/7. Even people are not working there, your server will be on, because you cannot switch off the server. Your server is to on, only then your data will be stored, and you can do the computing from the home. Student can upload the mark sheet and everything. So your computer should be on. to keep your computer should be on, you require a huge power requirement. For the size of the Williams College, you need at least 4 megawatt of a generator to keep this IT system running. And you can imagine what will be the huge electricity bill you have to pay every month. And there is an advantage of collaborate and sign your work with others. You can collaborate with some other institution also. You can do the knowledge sharing, and you can share your best practices with the other groups. Or if, for example, there is a university. So university can generate some softwares or university website. It can be shared and can be used by the different colleges. So it gives the collaborative or one place information for the users. And as I said, you need a lot of IT infrastructure and data center to store all this data, all the records for many years to come. So just storing in a one computer, again there is a risk if the computer get burned or get destroyed. You have to have a second backup. You cannot depend on your one laptop or one mobile phone to store the data. If your mobile is gone, all your data pictures will go. So you need some backup. Where you will backup that? So you need additional storage device to backup that. And how many additional storage device you can buy? So there is the option you can save all your data into the cloud service providers. They will charge you for the memory about up to 2 GB memory. For example, in mobile, the Google Android, for 2 GB, they are giving free cloud storage services. You can store your contacts or your WhatsApp chats and everything. That is up to 2 GB. About 2 GB data, they are charging some money monthly basis or yearly packages. So you can, you don't have to go for the new mobile phone for upgradation, 16 GB to 64 GB. Simply you can buy the cloud computing and keep on saving your data on the cloud. And when you go for the new mobile or new devices, all the data which are in the cloud, immediately you can download in your new devices. So the backup process will be easier, because if you buying a new laptop, you have to remove all your data and save it to some disk or some other devices. But if you are using cloud, then you don't have to worry about that where your data, you have to, in the click of the button, you can save all your data in the cloud. And when you're buying the new devices, everything will be downloaded. So there are so many companies which are providing their computing power or on some monthly hire basis or yearly contract. In a mobile, we are generally seeing Android. So Android operating system. So Android is allowing you to store up to 2 GB data on their cloud, and then they are charging for the additional data. So Google Android is there, and then Amazon Web Service. They've got very large data center and they've got a large programming. So even the individual college, they don't have to buy they have to buy just basic IT system, and they can start using Amazon Web Services, even putting their data or putting their operation and everything on Amazon Web Services. Microsoft has also got their cloud services. IBM has got their cloud services. Intel has HP, Dell, every large IT company. Now they know that the customer cannot afford to update the system every year. So they are helping the customer by providing the latest technology, latest software, latest operating system on a higher basis. So yeah, there are so many packages and there are different service agreements available with all this company. We will discuss what there are 3 major service offerings that we should be aware while using the cloud computing. Cloud is basically why it is used the cloud, because it's it is called a cyberspace. So it is a space. So you are accessing the data from the space or from the cloud to your local IT devices or your local institution. So cloud service, there are just now we have seen there are so many companies which are offering BPO services for the IT outsourcing. But there are three models they are offering. Because some companies they have a very good IT infrastructure, data centers, and because they require more security, they don't want others to access their data or backup. For example, LIC or larger government or IITs or IIMs, they got their own data centers because their data is so sensitive. So they prefer to have their own data centers. But they hire this cloud service is just only to keep the backup, just to have a backup. So they have got their own software upgrades and their own applications and their own antiviruses, but they still require some space to back up their data. So they can use platform as service. We'll discuss more about platform as service, software as service, and infrastructure as service. So, in the first thing, suppose you decided to know we don't want to outsource. So you need a dedicated IT department, and you need your internal networking system, and you require your internal data centers, servers, and the cabling and security, CCTV, and monitoring, building management system. Because this data is very sensitive equipment, we require a very modern security system. There will be control room and people sitting there and continuously monitoring the data center on the CCTV. And it's on the hardware part, you have to have a separate generating system, a UPS system, and then cooling system, because continuously computers are working. You need a dedicated air conditioning system and which controls the humidity also. Because if humidity goes up and this electronic is a very sensitive equipment, and it will destroy that particular cards or the chip. So it requires a humidity control and the temperature control. So the environment control, it requires a lot of power as well as a lot of cost also. And that is the hardware part. And then there is the operating system. Just like for servers, you need the Windows XP, and for users, you need a Windows 10 or Windows 8. So without operating system, you cannot run the computer. And then you have to need additional software, just like MS Office, like MS Access, Word, PDF. So that is the software you need. And then applications. We are using so many applications like now banking application or even your college application. Okay, you put a dedicated application for the commerce, science. So there are now in a mobile we can see thousands of applications you can download, or games you can download, or simulation you can download. So in a conventional IT system, you have to invest in all this thing. You have to invest huge money on IT department, on the infrastructure, softwares, and the security, maintenance, and upgradation, and yearly subscription for antiviruses, and yearly subscription for operating system. MS Office, if you buy the original version, every year you have to pay the license fee. So it's a recurring cost. It's not a one time you purchase the Excel or Word and you keep on using for lifetime. No, you have to pay. If you're buying original version, you have to pay the license fee every year. So you can imagine if you're a large organization, how much money you have to spend on the conventional IT. So as a management perspective, you think how to save the cost by outsourcing some of the services. So infrastructure as a services is just now I said you require a data center. So data centers is very costly affairs. You have to buy the large servers, security and generators and other things. So many middle level company, they cannot afford, or there is a, for example, in a city like a Bangalore, there is a land is very costly. You have got a large office and everything, to just have a server room, again you have to spend on that office space also. You have to pay the rentals, or you have to make a huge investment buying that space. So as a middle level business, they cannot afford, because they are struggling to pay even their office bill. So they cannot have additional space for the generators or for the data center. So what they can do, they hire the infrastructure as a service from this cloud provider, and they have their own operating system, application, individual, everything is their own. Software part is their individual system, and they can share the operating system and the infrastructure, the physical computing servers and securities and other things, and they hire from that particular service provider. So they don't have to buy their own equipment. They just buy only laptops for all the users, and they can just hook on to that, a particular, for example, Amazon Web Service. So they have a yearly contract, and all the data stored, are generated, and all your records, which can be stored in Amazon Web Server. And whenever they require, they can download from there. So for that organization, there is a huge capex or initial investment into IT system. Now they want to start the business, so they they don't have enough money to start the business and invest on this computing power. They will invest more on their products. Now, for example, you go to large colleges, so they can afford to have some infrastructure for the IT data, IT servers and operating system, because you have a very sensitive data of a student's mark sheet and a certificate, which are supposed to be hack proof, and you have to keep store the data. So you prefer to have your own infrastructure, or government should prefer to have their own infrastructure, or banks. So they prefer to have their own infrastructure. So they invest in all these data centers. But for the smaller organization, it's very expensive. Crores of rupees you require for this servers. So they go for infrastructure as services. They hire the infrastructure of that service provider. And the second model is the platform as service. Now you've got the hardware part. Now after hardware part, you need an operating system. In a laptop, we see that Microsoft operating system, Windows 10 or Windows 8. But if you are using for your complete office or complete institution, only Windows 8 or Windows 10 will not be sufficient. For operation of the servers, you require a higher level of a server management system, a Windows XP or Windows Vista. So that administrator, generally we see administrator, right? So administrator will give the login permission to different users and allow a different permission for the principal, or for different permission for the account department. So the administrative rights, it requires the operating system. So again, it's very expensive operating system. So the middle level or smaller institution cannot afford to buy this very expensive operating system, as well as the physical equipment, data centers. So they go for up till they use their own customized software and data and everything, but this operating system, antiviruses and data centers, they outsource to the cloud agency. So there is the second model. And the third model is, now I started the office. I'm an entrepreneur. There are so many startups. Every day we see there are so many startups, and they are taking a loan from the banks, and they are starting their company. And they don't have any money to invest in this software or computing power, because they have got a limited amount of money in their hand, and they want to invest that money into their core product, not to just supporting this computing power. They will hire a small office and hire some 4 or 5 people and start the business. So for them, entire computing, everything is from software or the application or PDF, email, everything, they can outsource from the cloud company. So they don't have to buy the servers, they don't have to buy the operating system or spyware or firewalls, and they, since they have got a limited requirement, they can pay as per the users. whenever they log in and they use the services, today I use the services for 10 hours, I will pay only for 10 hours. For the smaller or upcoming institution or entrepreneurs, they go software as a service. It's a complete IT solution. They are outsourcing to the cloud companies. So they are hiring complete, they just buy the basic laptop which connect with their cloud provider, and they just log in and start using complicated application. They can do the drawings and they can make the quotation, or they can design the pictures or rooms and everything. And they don't have to worry about where I will store, which are the latest software I have to buy. Now suppose there is some somebody in a media, so they want to use different graphics or customize their advertisement, or they want to create some digital content for advertisement. So if they go for the Corel Draw or AutoCAD, it's very expensive software. So they cannot afford to buy that software. So this entrepreneur can directly buy the software as a service. It's an entire thing they will take on a hire. So these are the three models, and in that these models you can sit, you can even generate your own programs also. There are many programmers, they are working individually, they are creating programs. In Bangalore, I think there are so many programmers doing data analytics and programming of a new application, mobile application. So they are entrepreneurs sitting at home and creating the softwares or coding for the data. Many companies in the US outsourcing their work in Indian companies, or just like a city like a Bangalore and Pune. So they are doing all this, they are doing the programming for their application sitting in India. So in India, sitting at home, they don't have the computing power. So they can go for a software services, and they can use complicated or super computing power on the higher basis. So we have seen the three models, and we'll go into details of these three models. So if you see on the right side, basically there are three components on an IT system. And first thing, we have seen the infrastructure. So you need a huge infrastructure, and along with just buying a server or computer, it will not resolve your problem. You need particular air condition, dust-free room for that. It require access control, CCTV, and very latest monitoring software, and making it hacking proof and physical attack proof. So there is a huge investment. So for that, infrastructure as a services, you just outsource to that only infrastructure to the larger cloud providers. And you have got your own, for example, Williams College. So you don't have so many, you can utilize this space for IT, what you are going to use for the IT infrastructure in creating some lab or some additional classes, and you save on a lot of money on infrastructure. But still you require confidentiality for your colleges. All your operations should be confidential. You generate your certificate, you generate your mark sheet, you generate your question papers, you fix your fees and your admission process and criteria to get admission. So you need some confidentiality in your operation. But only physical part you are outsourcing, but your operating system, your internal softwares or internal logging or your internal application for account department or your commerce department, that is your confidential information. So that you don't want to outsource to some different vendor. So in that case, you just outsource physical infrastructure, the data centers, to the cloud company. But everything that will be your own. Except from a hardware, all your software needs, your all internal, whatever there in your company's network or individual's laptop or desktop, that is your proprietary licensed software. You will be investing on Windows or license version of the MS Office like Excel, Word, and your internal application. So in that, customer uses their own platform, Windows and Unix and application, and only the hardware part you outsource. And the second model is the user. You got individual company. For example, the DMart. So DMart, they got their individual software to maintain the store. And they have got multiple items and multiple vendors from different vendors are supplying, and there are so many people. But they don't. Again, they cannot DMart have the store in the middle of the city, so they cannot have definitely they cannot afford to infrastructure. And again, they cannot have a separate room for the IT department, because again you have to hire IT people, and because even the hardware part of your outsourcing for this operating the software part also you need IT department, and there is the equipment you need, and again you need operating system, Windows and XP and other things. So some company, okay, their data is not so confidential and they are not so IT savvy to maintain their IT department, so they don't want to have a IT manager or separate IT vice president. So they will just outsource their infrastructure and the basic IT system, because they don't want to put any managers. Okay, they will give a rights to different managers or a login right or access right. So they don't want to get involved in all the jumbling. So they will outsource all the IT operation as well as infrastructure to the cloud providers, and they will just use their own software. They will customize the software and they will just use the software. But other things that IT languages or login admin rights and security alerts, and nowadays there is a ransom malwares and other things. So they don't have so much brain or energy to have a dedicated department who will just monitor all this IT operation. So they will outsource their platform and infrastructure, and they will use their own software. And the third is a software as services. So you just buy one laptop. Now you are an entrepreneur and you want to start the company, but you want to invest all your money only into your product improvement, product development, or developing a business channel, advertising, and you don't have budget to invest in all the infrastructure platform and buying a license version of the software. And again, you are a new startup, so you don't have so much data also. So there is no such a confidentiality need, or you are doing some critical things because you are just starting. And there are many small organizations or small companies who don't want to waste their time on all this IT, and because IT itself is a complicated subject, and you have to hire some IT managers and create some different department. There are small contractors. We really don't have a time for all this software upgradation and new what is Windows 10 and what is Android, and they are not technically so brainy to know all this thing. What is iPhone? What is the operating system in iPhone? It's iOS. Some people are getting confused between iOS and Android phones, and there is Apple computers. So it uses Apple operating system. In normal laptop or computers, we are using Microsoft operating system. There are many entrepreneurs or there are many businessmen. We don't have so much can say knowledge or interest, or because they want to more focus on the actual business rather than going on to all the detailing what is the upgradation and Android. So they go for a software as services, complete computing power, including the final application and everything. They will just whatever they want, they will just log in into that cloud service provider, start using that. whenever they are with the customer, they want to give the brochures or presentation to the customer. They will just log into the cloud and download the presentation, show it to the customer. And with that, they are saving their money also and saving their time also, and a lot of infrastructure cost also, because uh, having this IT or technical, you can say, mentality, everybody don't have that, you can say, technology savvy. For them, they want to use this as a helping hand, and they don't want to go into deep down into it. Suddenly there is a virus and other thing. So the customer access the application over the internet. Now every system or every model has got some advantages and disadvantages. So outsourcing, if we are talking about outsourcing of the buses, so there is an advantage. You are saving the cost. You are using them whenever you require, and the drivers are trained, and some risk you are passing on to that outsource company. But there is a disadvantage that they will not take care. There is no sense of belonging to with your institution, because if you get your own bus and own driver, so you got your own mode of conduct, how driver should behave, how the buses should be clean, and it will bring the trust of your students' parents also. Okay, okay, school has got your own dedicated bus, my child will be secured. So similarly, in a cloud computing, there are advantages and there is a disadvantages. What are the advantages? So now, as we discussed, the computing is very complicated, and every day there is a new development. So you have to be have a dedicated team who are just focusing on new development. So institution has to pay to the IT managers and maintain the IT teams for monitoring this new development and upgrading it. Buying cost is again a separate cost, but you have to maintain some manpower just to see what is the development. So if you have a cloud computing, you don't have to worry about what are the new developments, whether it's Android 6, Android 7, or Windows 10, next year Windows 11. So you don't have to worry about it. So the cloud people, they are into that business. So they are keep on upgrading and all the latest technology and software. So you don't have to have a dedicated manpower to monitor all this thing. And you can have a batch computing. Now you have got your own computing system. It will remain open 24/7, 365 days for all the people. But now there is a lockdown. So not everybody is using computer. So you can only principals or some senior faculties or faculty who are connected with some programs only can use the computing power. So if you have cloud computing, you can take a contract for 10 users. So you will pay only for the 10 users. So it's a cost saving for you, and it's a minimizing of the actual computing uses, because there will not be unnecessary nuisance. People are just sitting home or sitting in the offices, and just for the time pass, they are using your computing power. So it will be only dedicated batch computing. And if you get to your own data centers or own computing and there is a fire, everything will get destroyed. So your all the costly data cannot have a recovery plan, or how many backup you can keep. So cloud is the biggest advantage. You can have a backup of all your sensitive data on the cloud. It will remain on the cloud, so there is no worry about your data will get destroyed in case of fire or earthquake or something. So these are the major advantages, but there are so many disadvantages of this. Because first disadvantage is the performance. Because the cloud company, they have got to open for all solution. It is not so customized for your own needs. So, and so many people are using that services. Many times you will find that your internet connection is very slow, because so many people are logged in and the same bandwidth is available. So It's not exactly the technical fault, but there is a limitation for how many users can use the cloud services. So the performance can vary. Sometimes you are in a meeting and your data is not getting unloaded from the cloud because of the lot of traffic. So the performance will affect in some critical junction also. And transparency, because you are handing over everything, all your data and everything to that company. And now suppose we have mitigated if there is a fire in the institution and you can back up on the cloud. But what if the cloud data center itself has been hacked? If, what happens if the Google data center has been hacked? You cannot do anything. So that if their computers or there is a bug in their computers or there is a code is defective, you will not be able to repair that. If you have got own IT system, you can hire somebody and get it repaired. But if you are buying some from the cloud, you don't have opportunity to repair or anything. And again, if you buying from the outsourcing, then you get a limited option. Whatever they are selling, you have to buy. So they will customize the product and you choose from the 10 product. So you don't have an option. You can ask them, okay, you customize for the my organization. There is some customization available, but there is a limitation. You have to buy from the basket only. And another thing is the customer services. If you are outsourcing, for example, your buses to the transporter, so he is giving that outsourcing services to the 10 schools. So for you, he is the one person serving the 10 schools or colleges. So in a similarly, for 3,500 users, the cloud computing company has got 3 customer support. So again, there is a difficulty in the if there is a problem, then getting a customer support services, it's again become a challenging. So these are some of the disadvantage of the cloud computing. So with this, we have covered up what exactly is the computing and how to outsource your computing and what is the cloud and what are the different models. So with this, we have got the overview of computing and cloud computing and what are the service models available. So if you can have a question, you can ask or you can connect with Mr. Mohan Kumar, who is our center head at Financial Planning Academy, Bangalore. This is his mobile number and you can connect with him for many more updates. This is our website, fpa.edu.in. You can get more information regarding our courses. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dharmendra sir. Hello.
Yeah, hello.
Yeah, thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, I would now request my colleague, Mr. Ravi, to give a little more information about our courses and propose a vote of thanks. Ravi? 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 Yellow, I don't know. Mr. Ravi? Matadi. Acha, you may have to unmute Mr. Ravi. Or Ravi, you try unmuting yourself. Hello. Oh my God. Nidhi, are you there? Nidhi? All right. Hello. Ravi? Okay. Anyway, I will take over and propose the word of thanks. But before that, let me tell you, we have 3 very powerful courses for commerce students particularly. Generally, my observation and with my interactions with several colleges in Bangalore, I have found that the BCom students generally think that they have very limited options for a carrier. However, we have identified 21 different illustrious carriers depending on their capability. We are now training people for 3 to 5 of such career opportunities. The first one is called postgraduate certification in banking and finance. This is basically for people who would like to go into banks. Second one is called CFP, which is an international certification, certified financial planner. This will give them a wider option of careers. And lastly, we have a 3 years ACCA, which is almost equivalent to that of the CA in India. Okay, so these are the 3 courses we are offering. Now, with that introduction, with that little bit of details about our courses, I would like to thank Mr. Dharmendra Jani for making time to speak to all of us and educating us on a very, very important thing like cloud computing. My sincere thanks is also to Dr. Sridhar and the faculty members from Williams College for having co-sponsored this. And I would also thank Financial Planning Academy Mumbai for having organized the entire platform for all of us to interact for this last 1.5 hours. With that, I will conclude. I will tell you that you will get the slides and the recording over a period of time. It will take some time for me to edit the recording. So after that, we will be able to send it across to you. No need to be anxious, because that's one common thing that comes at the end of every FDP. We have conducted in Bangalore 4 such FDP so far on different topics. If any college faculty would like to conduct a similar FDP for their people, you're most welcome to contact me. Mr. Jani has put the number. Now, lastly, my request is you also have received a feedback link in the message that was sent to you. Please click on the feedback link and give your valuable feedback. Now, the moment you give the feedback, you will also get the e-certificate. I will repeat. Please click on the feedback link and give your feedback to get your what is called
e-certificate.
E-certificate. After there are some Q&As. Let's quickly check. Sir, how could cloud data work? What is cloud controller? With advantages and disadvantages listed in the last slide, how safe is my secure data? Sir, my question is what different I think I leave this to Mr. Dharmendra. Dharmendra sir. Dharmendra sir.
Yeah.
There are some questions for you.
Yeah, I will try to combine all the question into one answer. So basically, cloud data centers and data centers. Data centers is the term used for if you go to a very large, for example, a Facebook. You are putting so many posts on the Facebook. Can you imagine where the data is stored? It is not getting stored in a mobile. You are sending so many WhatsApp messages. Can you imagine where you are just downloading that data in your mobile, but it is stored somewhere. It is you are downloading from some servers. For example, in WhatsApp, basically you are downloading on your mobile from that server. So that server is called a cloud. So the cloud data centers, it's a very huge data center. It's as large as you can say a small city or a small town. Amazon has got a data center in Switzerland. They are capturing all the data of all of Asia. Amazon has got some worldwide data center somewhere in China, one in So it's a very huge network of the servers, and they've got their own security system layers and higher level of the software and super computing power. So multiple users can access data simultaneously. Because they are a big technology giant, they are investing so much money in the larger cloud data center so that all the users can access their data. Even the Facebook data we are getting on a free of charge, but there is a data center globally. So where all this user data is getting stored and it is getting processed. So it's an entirely different uh, concept. Cloud computing or cloud networking is an entirely different technology compared to our institutional IT networks or institutional software services.
Okay, there was a question on feedback sharing, link, which I have put it in the chat box.
In fact, you can straight away from the chat box give your feedback.
And I have put the link also, Google Form link.
Okay, okay. Okay. So once again, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for your kind participation. Let's keep
Mohan,
this.
you may want to dwell on students' webinar interaction. Yeah.
Huh. And on this Thursday, we have a students webinar, which is also a free webinar. This is about careers for the commerce students in the field of BFSI, banking, financial services, and insurance. So I'm going to share the link with all of you. You may please circulate it to your students so that they will also take benefit of it. Shruti BN says, can you share feedback? The link is there on the chat box, Shruti ma'am. All right. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much once again for all the cooperation. Let's keep this engagement continuing for times immemorial. Thank you and bye-bye from all of us here in Pathshala and Financial Planning Academy.
Hello, Mohan, they are saying it is still not available in chat box, though I have put it. Can you ask धर्मेंद्र जानी सर आपकी तरफ से कोई डाल सकता है क्या उसके अंदर
लिंक फीडबैक लिंक वो
हाँ जी
निधि करनी चाहिए
मेरे पास नहीं है वो निधि को या विश्वास को देना पड़ेगा
नहीं ladies and gentlemen, don't worry about it. If you have not got it, or if it is not visible or whatever, I'm going to mail the feedback link to all of you. You don't have to worry. It's just a matter of probably one day. I'll send it by tomorrow so that you will have the link with you. Don't worry about it.
Okay, I think that's better.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.